The worst horror movie I ever saw was fucking great.
Hello and welcome to This May Hurt a Bit. My name is James Strayer and this is
John C. Myers.
And we're a horror franchise podcast discussing each film in horror franchises. And today we will be discussing Seed of Chucky from 2004. So this is a few years on from Bride. Bride was 98. 6 years. Mancini had written this one pretty quickly, but then Columbine happened.
Yeah. You know, so, you think Chucky, you're like, oh, of course, Columbine.
Right. So not to glaze over the deaths of all those poor kids at the time, but what effect did it have on horror franchises? That's what we're here to discuss. Yeah.
Well, the bigger question is what effect did horror franchises have on those kids?
Sure.
And the answer is none.
None.
But boy, we're going to spend a lot of time yelling about them until we figure that out again.
Right. Once again, it does not lead to violence, etc., etc.
Yeah.
But it made everybody very upset and very scared, and they did not want to have Chucky in the headlines alongside Columbine after that.
Now, the head of the studio at the time was already, she did not like horror movies.
Oh, yeah.
So this was a great reason to just not do horror movies.
But yeah, Don Mancini had an idea already, obviously planted the seed in the previous movie, but it took a while to get going. And it's funny because as much as I read about this one, it wasn't clear to me if it was he lobbying to direct or if it was maybe producer saying like, okay, now you can finally step into the director's chair. Maybe it was that.
Kirshner is like, I thought he did a great job producing the last one, so I thought it was time for him to step into the chair.
Yeah.
You hear some stories that the studio was like, well, Ronnie Yu's not available, so we'll try something else because we're still not sure. Because Ronnie Yu also, part of what reignited the interest in Chucky is that Ronnie Yu's Freddy vs. Jason came out and did great. And so they're like, well, horror makes money. Okay.
Yes. Uh-huh.
But he was unavailable. And then there's some contention between him and Don Mancini about that as well, because Ronnie Yu claims that he had the idea for Tiffany and that they gave him the script and he turned it down. But that, according to Mancini and Kirshner, that's not necessarily true. They don't think he ever saw the script. So don't know. A lot of chirping going on about that.
Sure. But, at this point, it's about time to give Mancini the director job. Yeah. I mean, the man has been in charge of this for quite a while now. And, obviously, just because you're a great writer does not mean that you're a great director. But if you're hanging out on set for that long
and you're with the producer that's, with Kirshner that's been through this, what to expect with dealing with the animatronics and this kind of stuff. But not that there won't be new challenges, as they, of course, ran into.
Right. One other big change to this, not just Mancini being the director, but Kevin Yeager did not keep up with Chucky after this one. And they were nice about it on camera, but I think it's just a simple fact of they were not offering him not just what he deserves, but what he needed to create these puppets.
Because this is the early 2000s. And this is the fifth one of a horror series. Guess what? We're going to Romania.
Yes. Pack your bags, buddies.
Pack your bags. And Kevin Yeager apparently was like, I need X, Y, and Z. They're like, no, most of what we can afford to do is send you over with one other puppeteer. That's it. We'll have to we want to use a lot of the labor over there. Mm-hmm. Not because that it's cheap, but it also in some cases, I think particularly in the acting, it helps us get tax breaks for stuff. That's why there's a lot of British actors in this.
Right.
So you're kind of dealing with the issue of it's not that they couldn't afford puppeteers, is they couldn't afford Kevin Yeager. Mm-hmm. But Kevin Yeager says that he took a cut to be like, I just need a little bit more for labor and then materials, but that's basically it. And the studio still wouldn't budge. Mm-hmm. And Kevin Yeager had already had a pretty successful career doing other stuff at that point. And so he had his own, Kevin Yeager business, animatronics business, stuff like that. He had to be in charge of. So he's out, and in his place is Tony Gardner. Mm-hmm. Did a lot of effects work up to this point. He and his team had to recreate Chucky, make a whole new doll for Glen, and then basically kind of recreate Chucky and Tiffany from previous designs. And the way he tells it, a lot of just VHS stills.
Yes. Can you imagine you get this kind of opportunity and your research is just watching the movie and freeze framing it over and over to rebuild
and trying to like be like, well, okay, so his arm is this long in comparison to this.
Yeah.
So I guess it's got to be, yeah.
Right. And, you know, like you said, it's not just doing Chucky now. It's doing Tiffany and Glen, a brand new character,
right.
You know, that they couldn't base anything off of. So you're shooting in Romania.
Yeah.
You're going over there with a new puppeteer team on a movie that is so reliant on that, and a new director. Mm-hmm. That this all sounds like a potential, I don't want to say disaster, but like a very challenging shoot. Again,
because Tony Gardner was like an established person. I guess he and Don had been in contact since Hocus Pocus.
Oh yes,
but yeah, it's still like you don't have your regular working relationship. It's gonna be different. You're also dealing with a crew there's language barriers. They had to hire a lot of translators. That can be difficult. But I mean, it sounds in general that this was a good time.
Yes,
unless you're Jason Fleming, but then for everyone else, they had a good time.
Right, exactly. They got the green light to go into production, and a big part of it was he wanted to bring back Jennifer Tilly. Like I've said before, I haven't seen any of these, so I knew that Tilly was, beloved in the franchise, and I kept thinking like, well, she's got to be in more than just the first half hour of Bride.
Right.
And I was very happy to see her come back in this. The whole meta thing, I'm not so sure how I feel about that. But I really enjoyed having Jennifer Tilly on screen this time.
Yeah, we can get into the meta aspect of it a little bit later, but it is kind of funny. Yeah, that some of the initial feedback from the studio was like, "There's too much Jennifer Tilly," and Jennifer Tilly's like, "I don't know what that means."
Exactly. Of all the people to tell that to, Jennifer Tilly.
Which is funny because like listening to her talk about that, in some interviews she refers to herself on screen as Jennifer Tilly. So it's like, so when Jennifer Tilly's doing this, because it's, it's this very exaggerated portrayal of her being this much more sort of narcissistic, shitty ladder climbing, like struggles with food addiction kind of thing. It's these very like this negative caricature that she and Don Mancini are good friends. And so it was kind of created with love and really boosted these like peccadillos that people have. And I think it's always kind of a good sign for an actor that they're willing to do that. Like, I don't remember where I had heard someone talk about this, but basically if you appear on the show Entourage as yourself and you're a nice guy, you're an awful person in real life. But if you're troubled or quirky in some way, that means you're cool. Yes,
right. Jennifer Tilly evidently just pushed the mean jokes further and further and further.
Yeah.
Like, and especially if she's going to be voicing Tiffany and, going at the Jennifer Tilly character. In the vocal booth, she could just improv all kinds of nasty stuff. Mm-hmm. And, later on, she starts making jokes about her weight and says like she's not even pregnant and stuff like that. And I was like, my goodness. Like, I mean, I would probably make fun of myself as much as possible, too, just before anybody else could make fun of me, that kind of thing.
Oh, sure.
If I was in that situation. But props to Tilly for really going for it.
In the 5th Chucky movie.
Yes.
This is, instead of just coming off an Oscar nomination, it's like, well, this is kind of where my career is at, I guess, but I'm going to have some fun with this. Mm-hmm. And she's, again, just fantastic in this. So much fun.
Yeah. Yeah. We start off in a scenario that is basically it's Halloween. It's Psycho. I feel like there's something else.
The Omen.
It's The Omen. Yes. So like we've got a lot of homages all in one shot here, where from a doll's point of view, we see the murder of a mom and dad. The dad, as soon as that happened, I was like, oh, do the stare thing. So, Fright Night.
Sure.
Which is obviously riffing on Psycho, of course. But, the fall backwards with the knife in the chest is great.
Yeah, that is, call him Humpty Dumpty because that is a great fall.
Oh, yes.
Because they want to do kind of an Omen thing where it's he falls off the balcony and then basically it's like a set that the actor is just kind of backing up into, like when Damien kills his mother. I like that the cuts that they match, that like these cuts with the lightning going, it adds to the phoniness of it, which I think adds to the vibe this movie's going for. This kind of more arch camp sort of feeling.
I guess you're supposed to believe at this point that this is Chucky.
Right. Yeah. You're hearing heavy breathing, much like you would with Michael Myers, but it's smaller breathing.
Yes. And obviously camera low to the ground.
Yeah.
The killer stalks into the bathroom and ends up stabbing the mother in the shower, very Psycho style. She falls right out and cracks her head on the floor. Then we realize that it's all a dream of a new character named Glen or Glenda. We're not sure yet. Well, at this point, I think in my notes I was just writing Seed. This is he's Seed. He's
shitface currently.
Oh yes, that's right. Yes, Mr. Shitface. But turns out somehow he ended up in Europe and is a part of a traveling carnival. That's the moment I was like, well, this franchise is taking big swings that I had no idea where this is coming from.
Well, this thing is so, I don't want to say like tongue in cheek. It's just so absurd and knowingly just, we're just doing this. It's fine, but not in a way that I feel like is condescending or stupid. Like it has just this very fun freewheeling tone. Yeah, that it can kind of get away with that, and it's fine. They give some throwaway that he's now operating as a ventriloquist dummy in a traveling carnival for some guy named Sykes.
This grotesque abomination, it ain't even anatomically correct.
Don't laugh. It's a serious condition.
6 years ago, I found it in a cemetery back in the States. Little fucker tried to rip me throat out.
I was trying to give you a hug.
It is this very Dickensian, I'm an orphan with a mean guy harassing me, and also ties a little bit to Devil Doll.
Oh, sure.
Where the great Varelli has captured a guy's soul in a ventriloquist dummy, and he keeps him in a cage and kind of torments him. Right. So there's some of that because the psych like puts a rat in there with him to try to make him more afraid, and it doesn't really work because Shitface just pets the rat. It's very cute,
very sweet. He manages to escape and just jump on the back of a truck after he sees on television Chucky and Tiffany, who are promoting a movie that they're in, and he sees on Chucky's wrist, "Made in Japan."
Yeah.
So this starts a running gag that doesn't do a lot for me, but I guess he needed to find an easy way to tie this all together.
Particularly because we've seen the factory where they've been built.
Yes, we've seen the factory. We've seen the wrist before,
But again, who cares? Who cares? This is the 5th Chucky movie. They brought these things back all, so many times from complete destruction. So why not? I've referenced several times just that Jason coming back at the beginning of Takes Manhattan, where it's just, he's electrocuted. Now he's back. Don't worry about it.
It's fine.
Yeah, he sees a special behind the scenes thing showing the making of this movie. That's what we bring up with Jason Fleming, which I don't really know what his issue was. Jason Fleming is an actor. He was in Lock, Stock, Two Smoking Barrels for whatever reason. If you saw League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, he was Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde in that. But he was cast on this just to play a character. He's someone playing Santa in the fake movie that is being made. Yeah. And he gets murdered by Chucky, and he apparently hates this thing. Yeah. Tried to remove it from his resume, and he hates it. No one really knows why.
Yeah. I mean,
he just felt it was beneath him at the time, I guess.
Well, don't take the gig then.
Yeah.
know? It's just, but evident. Yeah. It's funny because he's so vocal about it that it seems to make it into any sort of documentary about Chucky or anything, and even Don Mancini is just like, I don't know what his problem was. It was fine, Well,
it seems like it's a thing that's happening in the movie, but then when Chucky starts killing him, the doll starts messing up, and it's a movie set.
Yeah.
They're making a movie based on Chucky and Tiffany. And that's why Jennifer Tilly is involved. Jennifer Tilly is playing Tiffany in the movie.
Yeah.
And it's the producer, one of the producers is playing Don Mancini. Don Mancini didn't want to play himself, although he does have a bit part when a PA is looking for Jennifer. You can hear his voice on the radio saying,
"I'm looking for Jennifer. Does anyone have a 20 on Jennifer?"
Check the catering truck.
I didn't know that was him. Okay, that's great.
So that's how Jennifer Tilly is introduced, and she, as we mentioned, she is now playing this comical version of herself who's upset about being in this Chucky movie. Has a huge bone to pick with Julia Roberts, who she's convinced has stolen all her roles and only got the roles from sleeping with the director that they have to immediately undercut.
Yes, that was a studio note. You have to say, well, that's not true.
Yeah, and it's also well, that's what I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I also like the little joke in there because we talked about in the last episode where she's like, I don't understand why I can't get the same roles And then the puppet goes like, nice tits.
Yes.
And it's revealed to be like a shitty puppeteer.
Yes. I mean, especially because some of the puppeteers were just like grabbing her on the last. Yeah. On
Puppeteers
that,
are perverts. I stand by that.
Right. But yeah, so she really wants to play the Virgin Mary.
Well, that sounds good. What's the role?
Virgin Mary.
What's so funny?
Nothing.
It's perfect. It's just what I need to reinvent myself. The Virgin Mary. I always loved the way she wore robes and her hair off her face, kind of like this.
The hot product in town right now, the hot shoot, is a narrative film about the Virgin Mary directed by Redman.
Redman.
I have not thought of Redman in 20 years. I mean, I barely thought about him then. Wasn't really my scene, I suppose. But it did make me think about, in this era of horror movies at the time, put a rapper in there. So we've got in the Halloween franchise, Busta Rhymes. Busta Rhymes, that's it. I can't even. I have seen that one, but I barely remember Busta Rhymes in that movie.
Well, growing up on the hard scrabble streets of suburban Omaha, I'm pretty in touch with the rap community. But it basically was that they wanted an indie director. He really wanted Quentin Tarantino,
right?
And apparently, like when he wrote Quentin Tarantino a personal letter, Don Mancini, asking him to be part of this, he name dropped that they had got Pino Donaggio to do the music for this. Pino Donaggio, great composer, did a bunch of film scores, particularly for like a lot of Brian De Palma stuff. So obviously big influence on Tarantino there. So we thought that might help. Never heard from him. Got like a representative that told him no. Basically, I don't think it was out of any like animosity or ill will or anything. Yeah. It's because he had heard Quentin Tarantino talk lovely, say nice things about Chucky before. But I think he was just busy. Kill Bill 2 was coming out.
Yeah.
But like the studio was like, who's big, who's great? Redman. And so it's kind of like, it sort of adds a layer of joke that it is Redman, that it's not a like great known director. It's Redman. Yes. But Redman's great in this. He's very funny.
Very good in this. Absolutely. I was just like, who's Redman? But that's it. That's on me more than anything. I do really enjoy the fact that Don Mancini had the wherewithal to throw in the composer to Tarantino and just be like, I'm going to play him like a fiddle. Like I am just going to appeal to that nerd side.
Yeah. What's an Italian name that I can associate with that I can talk to him about?
Yeah.
That's so much the trick to being or appearing to be a cineast is knowing Italian names or just, names in general. Like if you tell someone I'm going to go see Seed of Chucky, you're like, oh, okay. But if you're like, oh, I'm going to see Mancini's Seed of Chucky, I'm like, oh, that sounds fancy.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, yeah.
So a little inside baseball there.
Jennifer Tilly goes to read for the part of the Virgin Mary, and that's she's not really wowing Redman, except he does keep looking at her boobs the entire time. And of course, she's wearing a dress that accentuates. And I think, she does that. She's never not in that kind of an outfit in this movie.
Right. Yeah. But of course, he's already chosen his lead, and that is Julia Roberts.
At this point, the seed of Chucky finds Chucky and Tiffany. I do enjoy that he just tracked them down to a Hollywood studio. Fine. Again, hand wavy, whatever. Yeah. This is where I was finally like, I know that voice. And so I had to look him up, and holy Christ, it's Billy Boyd. Billy Boyd. Everybody's favorite Pippin Took from the Lord of the Rings. Guys. Come on.
Pippin Took.
Yes, yeah. That,
not from Steven Seagal's Exit Wounds? Not that Pippin Took?
Yes. So that just made me love this even more. I was just like, oh, I'm going to hear a little hobbity voice. But he is doing a different kind of performance with this voice.
Very much so. Yeah. And they had not cast him by the time they were doing the voiceover recordings. That was all done ahead of time. It was just Jennifer Tilly and Brad Dourif in the room again, a lot of improv and stuff like that. When they cast him and they were recording, they played back a lot of stuff for him. So it wasn't just he was in isolation and it's like, okay, now you're kind of feeling like this.
Yeah.
That he had something to kind of play off of.
I did laugh out loud at this moment because when Chucky finds out he's a dad, he faints like a sitcom dad.
Oh, yeah.
That is a great gag. I love this stuff.
They have transformed Chucky and Tiffany into just sitcom characters in this. Like they have this like back and forth of like this married couple that's been together for a long time and they love each other, but boy, they get at each other sometimes.
It's a real Lockhorns.
I'm not getting pregnant again. I'll tell you that much. My mother always told me, once is a blessing, twice is a curse.
Well, that won't explain your sister.
They're like joking about his sexual prowess. You had sex one time.
Right. Yeah.
But I guess that was when they were together. So there's a lead up to that.
Sure.
And it's so much more like that them being killers is kind of a goofy lark rather than like in the first one, where he's like, I'm trying to appease this dark lord.
Yes.
Or, just get my rocks out from strangling, where it's more just, killing. We're bad guys. So we say things like thank badness instead of thank goodness, and we kill people.
Yes. They can hear the puppet technician come in, and that's where they go flat, much like Hobbs the tiger is, not visible to all the adults. So the puppet technician comes in and opens up her back.
And that is Tony Gardner, by the way. That is the director, or the puppeteer, playing a version of himself that's not himself.
Right. And they made him read for that, too.
Yeah.
Which I think is insulting, but also fine because he's not an actor.
Right. Yeah. It makes sense.
Fair. But he opens up her back, and I did love this shot because her back is just full of it's not plastic in there, it's guts.
Right.
Which is great.
And it also makes them a little bit more cartoonish because it's like you just removed their flesh, but it's fine. They can just put it back on and it's fine, rather than in the previous ones where Chucky gets his face chopped off.
Exactly. So at this moment, they all come alive, and between the two of them end up wrapping it around. It's almost like a piano wire type of deal on a guy, but it's even sharper. And they pull hard and his head pops off in an overhead shot.
And they actually comped in his eye. They filmed him in a green, in front of a green screen, so they could comp in his eyes over that dummy to make it a little bit more lifelike. But, and of course, just blood starts spurting out like crazy, and Chucky and Tiffany are in love again.
Yes, this reignites the passion. After the person is dispatched with, we can now get back to talking to Glen. And in this moment, they just drop the poor kid's pants. They notice that he's basically what do you call it? Like Ken doll down there. There's no genitalia down there. I know that it's a little bit played for laughs, but considering the last couple of years in this country and the awfulness that is going on with trans bathrooms and people in public schools and stuff, it just felt ickier than maybe they meant it to, because people have gotten so much worse.
Yeah, I mean, it is.
I'm not saying that this is a poorly aged joke. I'm just saying in more modern context, I was like, ugh.
He was kind of smuggling the trans commentary in there with this sort of more kind of ridiculous heightened thing, because the seed, which they end up calling Glen, because there's a whole discussion between Chucky and Tiffany about whether Glen is a boy or a girl, with Chucky being like, no, he's a boy, and Tiffany being like, no, she's a girl. And they pull down Glen's pants to reveal that there's nothing there. There's a lot of John Waters-y style trash in this, which makes sense that John Waters is in it later, but it has this very big, ridiculous, bad taste stuff to hide in some more queer art, themes and milieus of a lot of that same kind of queer art. It is to look back at it and the quote unquote sort of flippancy it's dealt with when it's been such a huge issue lately.
Yes.
Is also though it's kind of fun because it is it's fine. It's a fun thing. It's
sure.
This, as we'll go throughout this movie, identity in general is a messy bunch of nonsense. So whatever.
Right.
I guess I would rather have it played with frivolity than particularly in this movie to be everything's funny and stupid except this. This is real.
There you go. They decide to name the kid Glen or Glenda after the famous Ed Wood movie of that name.
Right, which works on a double level of being, sort of an easy joke for oh, they don't know boy or girl, it's Glen or Glenda, and identifying we're in this realm of trash. This is a salute to Glen and Glenda because
yes, exactly.
We embrace that stuff. That's what we're making here. Trash filmmaking. We all love it.
Enter Jennifer Tilly. She is eating a candy bar and picks up a severed head at the same time. So she'd be right at home as a morgue worker. Clearly.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The police, a bunch of police squad people show up. Behind them is John Waters as a gossip reporter. And this this is just perfect casting. Obviously, you want John Waters in here, the self-styled Pope of Trash, to be in your trash film. But he has a thing with the whole paparazzi and all that kind of stuff. So he loves all the gossip columnists and things like that. So I'm not a particularly huge John Waters fan. Nothing against him. I just never did the deep dive of Waters as maybe I should have when I was younger. I never did. But So I enjoy seeing him in this realm.
I love
completely.
I love listening to him talk. I love his whole vibe. I love some of his movies, and I'm more just like, they're not for me, but I'm glad they're out there.
And that 100% how I feel. Yeah. I can listen to him talk about movies for hours for sure. But yeah, he was a big fan of Chucky in general. And so Don Mancini heard about that. Evidently, Mancini, the first time he talked to him on the phone, John Waters was in a prison visiting one of his friends, which is, Mancini just said, like, every interaction you have with John Waters is just peak John Waters. Every bit of him is there. So he becomes a recurring character in this.
Pete Peters, celebrities revealed. Jennifer, what did you see?
What, you want me to draw you a picture?
Would you? Somebody, give her a piece of paper.
Look, I'm not going to draw you a picture, okay?
Oh, don't feel bad. You're an actress, not an artist, huh?
Back of the limo that's taking the 3 dolls. I just really enjoy the shot of the 3 dolls just lined up in the back of the limo, because it's Jennifer Tilly's limo. And just the 3 of them, they just look cute sitting back there. Just this nice, well done little family here.
She's sitting in the front seat because she and her limo driver are having an affair, having a thing.
Yes.
But like, he's deeply in love with her, but he can't bring himself to tell her, which is a great little running gag throughout the whole movie.
So yeah, in the back seat of the car, they hatch their plan. Tiffany's going to transfer her soul into the body of Jennifer Tilly, which is just fantastic.
Yeah, they both know who Jennifer Tilly is. Chucky does not like her, hates her voice.
And so Chucky decides, well, I'm going to go into the body of Redman, which is also pretty fun.
I'm down with that.
Jennifer Tilly starts implying that she's going to invite Redman over that night to basically like sleep her way into the role of the Virgin Mary, which is fun in itself. But that's when Tiffany just yells out from the back seat, "Oh my God, she's a complete slut." When they get to Tilly's house, I guess they're just going to shack up there for a while too, because they have to put Glen to bed. And that's when Glen says, "Why do you kill people?" And so this is where we're starting to get into this idea where Chucky thinks it's just fun. He kills people to relax and unwind. Tiffany gets it in her head that, oh my God, am I an addict?
Yes.
So they start treating murder like an addiction, which is fun.
This is like the silliness in this movie is a lot less like broad and like Naked Gun style. Like it's a lot, the comedy's a lot more pointed and different things. And so that idea that the kind of playing off of these sort of family melodramas about addiction and finding your place from the family and really elevating it to these very absurd degrees within the confines of a horror movie, a very silly horror movie, elevates this beyond just being a silly bit of fluff.
Tilly then fires her assistant, Joan, who I guess is writing her fan mail.
Yeah. She's suffering, and she's trying to convince Jennifer Tilly that sleeping her way to the top is a bad idea. And that, she's part of her job is to write Jennifer Tilly fan mail from other people, pretending to be other people. And of course, I don't need to tell you that is played by Hannah Spirit. I know you, like me, are a huge fan of S Club 7. I mean, America was. So,
all right. Yeah. Whatever that thing was, I'm a fan of it.
I almost said boy band, but there was a singing, we'll just say sensation. They had a show, I think, on the Disney Channel.
Was she the sassy one? Was she the bad girl? What was her persona?
If you have to ask, you won't get it. Because it's really like, it's pretty telling that they did use S Club 7, because that was a show about identity and kind of merging. The whole thing basically played out like Bergman's Persona, with them sort of taking on and becoming one thing. They would pilot a kaiju sort of thing like the Power Rangers.
Right. Mm-hmm. Or Voltron.
I do like the idea that there's some fan of S Club 7 that's actually listening to this being like, that's not true at all. I'm so mad.
Right into John Myers at I
should probably say that this is my opinion, not the opinion of the podcast of James Schreier.
Yes. I'm just enjoying keeping on the topic of S Club 7 for as long as possible so that we don't need to get into describing the next scene, which I'm just going to lob right back to you.
Well, which is
John, what happens next?
Well, it's great because Kirshner has been
I think you're stalling.
I am stalling, but I'm getting there. I'm sorry. David Kirshner the whole time has been like, hey, this is fun. And we're taking them to these new fun levels. And then he's like, okay, guys, this is too much. I don't think this is fun. I mean, the movie opens, we kind of skipped over this, but the movie opens with basically semen running down the screen. Like they were doing a sort of an homage to the Bond gun sight, you know, the barrel of the gun thing, and Bond turns and shoots and blood comes down. And except this time it's semen. And the only other movie I think I've seen that has had a semen title was Ichi the Killer. I don't know if you know other ones. Don't tell me. I don't care.
Don't. Yeah.
Don't need keep that to yourself. So their plan is, well, what we can transfer to Jennifer and Redman, but we have Glen here. What do we do with Glen? Well, we need to get Jennifer Tilly pregnant so she can give birth to a baby, and then we can make Glen that baby. We need Chucky to fill a cup. We'll put it that way. And
fill a cup.
He does so by there's a bunch of magazines. Well, first Tiffany
this is a good gag.
Tiffany shows him her boobs, which is very funny. And then
I went, oh, that's kind of sweet. Like I thought it was kind of sweet.
This is why you will never get a job on those Hallmark movies.
Shoot, yeah.
He ends up going through a bunch of magazines looking for material and chooses Fangoria.
They had to mock up a new person for that to me, which is, man, movie making is so dumb.
It is. I love it.
We cannot have this puppet jerk off to somebody who is actually in existence.
Right.
Or an actual Fangoria magazine, because that's sacred. So we have to mock up a new cover.
But it's not like a taste thing or just like that would be inappropriate. It's a rights issue. They didn't sign a release form. We'll have doll masturbate to me. It's just standard boilerplate in most contracts, but they left that out.
It's in my contracts, you know.
Hey, it's just the way the business world works. You don't like it? Vote.
Vote for this.
Vote yes on Prop 12.
Right.
But so Chucky is in the bathroom masturbating. And John Waters, who's the paparazzi, is stalking Jennifer Tilly and Redman, trying to get photos of them, and sees Chucky going to town on himself. And just thinks that the freakiest shit is happening and is having the best time.
Oh, sweet Jesus. God bless the little people.
Now, apparently, I don't know if this is real or not, but Mancini made a joke about it. The uncut version, you can see Chucky's penis. And I don't know if that's a reference to Chucky not being circumcised or not. John Waters, of course, is like, Chucky's over 18. It's fine. This doesn't matter. But they were like, David Kirshner was like, this is a little too much. I don't want to see that. And because they had to have the puppeteers like do the jack off motion. And there's a shot where you can kind of see him going to town on himself. I don't know. But it raises a question. Sound off in the comments. Circumcised or not circumcised?
Yeah. What do you think?
I don't. I was trying to catch you in a trap.
Right.
No, I think he's given his background, I'm going uncirced, but
probably
important stuff. I really, I think it changes the character if you think about it. But meanwhile, Jennifer is trying to put the moves on Redman, which I love how she always calls him Redman.
Absolutely love
it's
that
a
running
dumb joke, but it makes me laugh every time.
It makes me laugh. Yeah, it's turkey baster time, John.
Yeah.
So. Tilly's laying in bed with Redman, and they've got a big old turkey baster that they're gonna go at it with.
Looks like you got everything under control. I'll just leave you to it.
Motherhood is so beautiful.
Moving on. This is just getting just so disgusting and just gleefully so trashy.
Yes. Great.
Redman and Jennifer wake up the next day and they're like, I don't remember it, but boy, it was great. I'm sure.
Yeah.
You should come over and have dinner later. They reveal, of course, and more sort of like meta ridiculousness that it's going to be fine. They don't have to wait that long because this is a voodoo pregnancy.
I love that.
And so it's going to go a lot faster. And Jennifer, she's automatically just huge. There's so much stuff in this movie that I would be rolling my eyes at if they treated it with just a tiny bit of seriousness, but they don't. Yeah. And so this is just leaned so much more into comedy. There's a way to do this movie as I hate doing Chucky, fuck you. Like this could have been Don Mancini, like being like, I'm trying to lay waste to this character. I want nothing to do with it. Doing the stuff that people accuse Rian Johnson of doing with Star Wars, just being like, I want to tear this all down. But no, this is Don Mancini being like, I love these little rascals. let's make him artificially inseminate Jennifer Tilly, who I also love.
Yes, and she is game.
Yeah.
It's great. Chucky is on a mission to convince everyone, Tiffany, himself, Glen, that Glen is a boy. So they're going to go out for boys' night. On the way for boys' night, they end up running Britney Spears off the road.
Yes.
And a very like that bit just felt like a scary movie gag to me.
Well, and it's very of the time too. Not just because it's Britney Spears. They knew like an extra or something that looked like Britney Spears, so it worked really well. It didn't really matter. It was nothing specific to Britney Spears. It's more just to like, hey, take that, society. But like particularly the early days of the internet were so mean. Like, not that it's a great place now, but you know what I mean? Like there were so many like flash animations of punch this famous person in the face, throw Justin Bieber in a blender, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so, run Britney Spears off the road just because you can, which definitely feels in a more sort of Zucker kind of level of comedy. And particularly, again, like looking back at, where we are now with like what happened to Britney Spears and the media's, paparazzi's complicity and all that feels not great, but I don't want to say Britney's doing fine, but she's better than some, I guess.
Didn't she just check herself into another rehab? But I guess that's a good thing. I think
so. Yeah. I mean, she's got issues, but I'm sure having America tell you you're dumb and fat isn't great.
Yeah, exactly. They tell me that all the time.
Bulgaria just tells me that, so I can take that in stride.
Right. But anyway, John Waters is developing photos, and with that popular photo development chemical sulfuric acid.
Yes.
That you keep around your photo.
You actually have to use sulfuric acid because that removes the souls from the photo. Otherwise, everyone's souls would be trapped. I'm homeschooled.
Chucky and Glen appear and basically scare him to the point where he stumbles backwards, falls, and sulfuric acid spills on top of his head in a very just like cartoon death scene. I admit, while the effect is kind of neat because he ends up looking a little like Two-Face or something, I wanted a better death for John Waters. Like I wanted like a full on just classic stabby stab over and over again with blood flying.
Just something like even more ridiculous because it is, I think, because it's also a lot more the makeup effects are really amplified by CG and stuff like that. And so it's if it was like a big explosion, if he got hit by a truck or something like that, just that seems almost sulfuric acid to the face is almost too tame to kill John Waters. You'd think you'd need a lot more than that, but I guess not. I mean, cigarettes haven't killed him yet. So
sure. Tilly and Redman are having dinner and she reveals that she's pregnant. I do love that she's immediately pregnant and Redman is just like, nope, can't be for me. Absolutely not. It's not me.
But I'm telling you, it can't be me.
Why not?
I had a vasectomy as soon as I got to Hollywood. I ain't no idiot.
That's impossible.
Hey, Jennifer, I hate to break it to you, but I can't hire you if you're pregnant.
That's ridiculous. The character's pregnant.
Yeah, I know, but I have a very specific vision of Mary. And what can I say? She gots to be hot.
He's making this movie because God not only talks to Mel Gibson, God is talking to Redman as well. But that tone, if that was in a John Waters movie in the early John Waters days, oh my God, how shocking and terrible. Whereas by the late 90s, it was a little bit like, yep, that's kind of funny.
Yeah. At this point, Redman gets basically just eviscerated under the glass table by Tiffany.
Which is a great shot.
Oh,
when
it's really
when his
good.
face goes down on him, it's almost like a split diopter, but not quite. It's good stuff.
Yeah. Glenda sees her surrounded by guts at this point. So here, Glenda screams, "You're tearing me apart." And so let's be very specific here. This is not a reference to The Room, believe it or not. This is a reference to Rebel Without a Cause. So I just wanted to make sure everybody gets that.
I'm having a hard time believing that Tommy Wiseau didn't do something wholly original. I'm having a really hard time with that. But okay.
Right. Yeah. Believe it or not. I think he thinks of himself as a little bit of a James Dean bad boy anyway. So that's
interesting.
Maybe his homage.
I can't. I'm just having I'm having a hard time picturing Tommy Wiseau with sort of an inflated sense of self-importance. I'm just not. I'm not seeing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I've never seen The Room. So
Have we talked about that before?
Probably. I've seen like a bunch of it. You know, there was when you're terminally as online as I am, which is society's problem, and it's society's fault,
and not yours.
Mine.
Yeah.
That you came across a lot of the Room stuff. So
yes. Also, at this point, I can't possibly be bothered with Room stuff.
Yeah,
so
it's like it had its time and it was fun. And
yeah, I've been over the Room for 10 years.
It's a little bit like, it's you're getting into pop punk. You're like, oh yeah, you still like Rancid. I'm way past them now. I like that stuff when I was younger. Now I'm watching Neil Breen movies just to feel something.
Right. I'm way too far down the bad movie rabbit hole to pay attention to the Room. Yeah, they end up finding Redman in a closet. Jennifer is tied up in bed with her driver. Oh, we did one gag that did make me laugh is Jennifer Tilly's on the phone just before this happens. She's on the phone with, I believe it's Joan, or not Joan, but she's on the phone with someone. And she's like, oh yeah, I'm just hanging out. Bound is on TV and Gina Gershon is finger banging me. That got a big guffaw out of me.
Her that gets referenced a lot. And then just like her constantly, because part of the reason she wants to be the Virgin Mary is to break out of, I don't want to play these sex pot roles at age 40, which is exactly what she's doing in this movie.
Yes.
That sort of ongoing, this idea of what you are versus what you're being portrayed as is sort of a larger theme throughout this thing. But yeah, I don't know exactly who she's talking to, but she can't be bothered with Redman because he's been such a jerk and he was just using her anyway. So she doesn't care. It's like, I'm going to leave, let yourself out.
This is where Chucky takes care of Joan, who's pounding on the door, lights are on fire, pushes her over the stairs. But at this point, when Tilly and the driver are tied to the bed, this scene goes on for a while, but Glenda appears with a wig on, looking pretty foxy, really, and is definitely like kind of coming into her own as Glenda. This gets a little bit confusing because Jennifer Tilly is about ready to give birth, and is it a girl and a boy? And then Chucky just yells, "We don't have time for this shit." Because
she has killed Redman, because Tiffany has succumbed to her addictions after calling her sponsor, and basically the sponsor kind of telling her, it's fine if you slip up, because it's about alcoholism and drug addiction versus murdering someone, that like, hey, Rome wasn't built in a day. Like, you can't beat yourself up too much for this. She's like, okay, yeah, one more won't hurt. Gives herself permission to kill Redman. In doing so, it's like, well, crap, we got rid of Chucky's body. Her betrayal in that sense of that she murdered too after admonishing Chucky for it, that she needs to replace Redman. So like, oh wait, the chauffeur, probably who she was talking to on the phone, now that I think about it.
That's it. Yeah.
So the chauffeur shows up and they end up like tying him to the bed. She gives birth and it's a boy and a girl. And this is the problem with Glen, is that Glen doesn't know if he's a boy or he's a girl. When he's Glenda, when he's wearing the wig and whatever, he's got like a much more Cockney accent. And that's the murderous one. Whereas Glen is more of a frightened little boy pacifist.
Very Norman Bates.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Too,
yeah. There's in fact a lot of visual calls to that too, because when Joan is killed, it's the same kind of thing where this female figure, comes out of the side and pushes her off the ledge, like with Arbogast. And then when there is sort of the reveal that it is in fact Glen dressed as Glenda, because Chucky thinks it's Tiffany's first, because Glenda has a big blonde wig, that it is almost that same reveal of Glen wearing Glenda's clothes. It's Norman Bates dressed up like his mother. Yeah. But it's not treated with the same kind of horror of like, oh, how terrible this is, where it's more like, oh, that's too bad. What's going on with him?
Right. Totally.
It's confusing there with identity, because Glenda, the female side of him, is the much more murderous side, which is Chucky's side. Whereas the male version is much more of Tiffany's side. So you have, again, just identity being confusing, and they're arguing about which one to put Glen into.
Yes.
It's like, we don't necessarily have to choose. We can just let this whole decide. And it's this back and forth. Chucky finally has it. He's cut the bullshit, gives a whole speech about,
as a doll, I'm fucking infamous. I'm one of the most notorious slashers in history, and I don't want to give that up. I am Chucky, the killer doll, and I dig it.
Basically coming out as, I'm a murderer. I'm a murderous doll. That's my identity. Like, if you want to be human, this is what a nightmare. This sucks. I'm happy with who I am in this body.
I'm Chucky and I dig it.
But then but because that's the case, that's a problem. You know what I mean? So this assertion of identity, not necessarily you could go down the whole like too woke rabbit hole where it's like, oh, because Chucky wants to be a man. He's, you know, a cis white male, which I don't know if that works when you're plastic. That's bad. But I do think it's more of just a play on the whole identity thing in this moment, we're supposed to have this triumphant realization about another character. It's Chucky. That's like, aha, I've had an epiphany about my own identity, which is I'm me. As a result, Tiffany's like, I'm done with you. I'm taking the kid and leaving. Like I want to get out of this doll body. I want a better life for our child.
I want to be Jennifer Tilly, I think she says.
I want to be a movie star. And then so Chucky's going to throws a knife, but the chauffeur blocks it and has a heroic death where he still can't say I love you. The cops show up and the dolls run away. They take Jennifer to the hospital. Tiffany's going to make the move in the hospital to take her body. And then
at this point, Chucky just starts chasing everybody around. And there's the Shining gag, which did kind of make me laugh too. I can't think of a single thing to say here.
Which that joke, I liked it, but it was that fell flat for me a little bit. But it is like the movie has built up enough goodwill that it's like, you tried something there, because it's been nothing but silliness this whole time. So it's not like
for sure
I could be like, well, how dare you try to take the piss out of the Shining or anything like that.
Totally.
Yeah. It's just, they're just playing with all kinds of horror tropes. And then this one, it was just a little obvious, I guess.
Sure. They're trying the voodoo spell at the end. Chucky ends up splitting Tiffany's head in with an axe. And it was actually kind of sad for a moment for me. I was just like, oh God, there goes Tiffany.
Yeah. Well, because I
was kind of struck by it.
Well, because Tiffany is although is still a horrible murderer and fairly unrepentant. Like the scene, speaking of being a horrible murderer, going through the 12 steps of recovery, that she calls up the mother of an old victim, and it's played for laughs, but like that's horrifying. But it's like the movie is funny enough, is silly enough. It gets that dark, but it's still silly. Whereas the reality of that is
totally
just awful. Because she's like, I just want you to know that I'm fine.
Yeah, right. I've been working through some
like they're
stuff.
like, oh, that's good for you. But anyway, but she's like trying to grow and change. Whereas Chucky, as kind of in the last one, is still like holding her back. Is the villain. So yeah, it's very sad. And then Glen reacts to that by chopping Chucky up as Glen, not Glenda. And Chucky finally gives him the paternal approval he's been looking for.
Atta boy, kid. Atta boy.
Calling him a boy.
Yeah, still sticking that knife in there, but
sure. And this is after they've had this like somewhat prolonged, like, I'm sure the puppeteers were just like looking for a new challenge. So like, let's have them kung fu fight for a little while. And they bring around the whole made in Japan joke again. It's like, I think by this point I was just ready for the movie to kind of wrap up. So this didn't do a lot for me.
Well, and I think they were, probably a little bit of a play on the Matrix as well. Cause that was still in the zeitgeist. Sort of talking about that, but pulling out a little bit to the meta aspect of it is that, while this is clever for this movie, and I do think it's done what's come before and does something else with it. By this point, the meta aspect had been done to death.
Yes.
In 1999, when he had originally sort of created this or had the idea for this, it would have been less played out at the time because I mean, Scream really changed the game for that. But then you had all these other people doing these meta references, including Wes Craven's New Nightmare, which was about making a movie about Freddy and Freddy's haunting Heather Langenkamp's dreams. At the time, critics are like, it's funny, but I've seen this. Yeah. This feels like you're just kind of hopping on a trend and you're very late to the trend. But I do think that this does elevate the meta thing to just an absurd degree.
Oh, sure.
It gets so ridiculous with the whole thing that it kind of goes beyond just like a commentary of on horror films and our concept of them into just this gleeful, crazy pastiche of other movies. And it's just, hey, isn't horror fun? Isn't this just such a great time?
Yeah, and that's fine. I do think it, like, because it gets so meta, it can take away a little bit from what's going on screen with some of the like gender identity stuff that has. And I'm not saying like we need to tone everything down, kind of like what you were saying. Like, I don't want it to be more serious, and then to discuss those important issues. Not in a Chucky movie necessarily.
It's spoonful of sugar. Patton Oswalt has said in the past about like Bill Hicks, like when he started out, he wanted to be the super edgy comedian. Bill Hicks was like, you have to walk them to the edge. You can't just come right out and go, so you have to walk them to the edge. And so I think that was a way to kind of do that of like, if I present this concept of finding your identity and the struggle that it has, and because he himself, Don Mancini, being a gay man and kind of having that growing up, being like, well, what am I? Which is Glen's whole thing, which I love, by the way. I love that it's never like, why am I made of plastic and sentient?
Yes.
No one else, that never comes up. It's always just like, where do I fit in? And like, am I a boy or a girl? But by being that ridiculous of it, it makes it a little bit easier to understand and a little easier to swallow, rather than be like, hey, you guys get how important this is, right? And it just makes it feel more kind of human and fun, I guess. It makes your gender dysphoria fun. It makes it a good time.
Yeah, sure. But yeah, I don't think a lot of people liked this film when it came out. And I think a lot of the, like, I don't know, one of the studio people did say, like, I don't know, it's too gay, you know? So I don't know if people in 2004 were, I don't want to say ready to think about these things, but if you're going in for a Chucky movie, I don't know, might have been too gay for him.
In 2004, by that time, you know, we're in the middle of an election season with George W. Bush trying to get a second term, and do not talk about how shitty our adventurism in Iraq is going. There was a lot of anti-gay marriage stuff going around there. So there was,
that's true.
It wouldn't surprise me if that was a part of it, is that people kind of feel like that, but it's also because it's a comedy. It's just a very dark comedy. So if you have like, oh, they're still making Chucky movies. I remember the first one. I'll go check out this Chucky movie. What the hell? You know, like you could not have foreseen it turning into this if you watch the first movie.
For sure.
So I think that was some of it as well. It was up against, like, when it was released, The Incredibles. Gosh. Like there's a bunch of movies that were out because it premiered in like 5th place, I think, on the box office.
Yeah. And from what I can glean, like, this is not very high up on the list of a lot of people's favorite Chucky movies. Like, so, some people consider this the worst, but having, you know, this is the first time watch for me, and this is not quote unquote my franchise, but I thought this was just a good time at the movies. I don't like this one as much as Bride, but I was having enough fun watching it, and just watching it through the lens of like, this has something kind of important to say, and it was ahead of its time in 2004. So I applaud it for that.
Right. And I think it's also going through the whole series and kind of seeing it develop into this, and kind of seeing, because it's always been Don Mancini writing this stuff and David Kirshner being a part of it, or, you know, producing it, that they kind of just took it in this direction together. It didn't feel like a cynical money grab, or, you know, in the case of Hellraiser, where it's like, we just got to keep this IP going or something like that.
Yeah.
But particularly having sat through all these sequels that really get dreadful in a lot of cases, to have, like, clearly the filmmakers are like, all right, well, let's do something fun and different with this that we both want to do, to add something to it for me.
Yeah, for sure.
But we can't fully get away from it yet, because there's still the ending to talk about, because
good grief. Yes.
After Glen kills Chucky, he's comforted by Jennifer Tilly, and it cuts to 5 years later. Jennifer Tilly is having a lovely party in her house with her 2 kids. Her maid is very afraid of Glenda.
Yesterday, she gave Dana Shelton a bloody nose and took pictures of it for show and tell. She called the cat the C word, and I'm pretty sure she's been taking money from my purse. Which
already, I mean, just because we were coming off of Dolly Dearest, which we recorded for Patreon, that just was making me think of that, of the housekeeper 100%. Already like being like, oh no, an evil spirit. But Glen is a lovely child.
Yes.
And it's their birthday. Jennifer Tilly responds to the housekeeper's complaints by hitting her in the head with a Tiffany doll and killing her, and revealing that her eyes turn a shade of green that is Tiffany's eye color. So Tiffany successfully transferred souls. We get a little voiceover from Glen sort of being happy that he's found his place in the world. And he's got one more birthday present to open, and it's an arm of Chucky. It's Chucky's arm, which like looks like it has like a bone socket on it, which I thought like was interesting. Yeah.
Because, you know, we have to keep setting up for the next ones, whether they happen or not. You know, Mancini knows what he's doing at this point. Like, you know, I gotta got to keep this train rolling. But yeah, and there's something about that whole set that made me kind of laugh too. It was just like, they did shoot this in Romania or Mexico, or where is this? Like, I don't know.
This was, though it was shot in Romania, it was shot on a soundstage there.
Oh, there you go.
Castel Film Studios, that was big in a lot of the full moon, used a lot of full moon movies. Like the entirety of Subspecies was filmed there, along with some of Puppet Master and Trancers.
Ooh, so high pedigree here.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, let's honor our dead. Richard, played by Simon James Morgan, stabbed, fell 2 stories. Claudia's mom, played by Stephanie Chambers, stabbed in the shower, falls to tile floor. Tony Gardner, played by Tony Gardner, decapitated with piano wire. Britney Spears, played by Nadia Dina Arcot, driven off the road, died in explosion. Pete Peters, played by John Waters, half of face melted off by sulfuric acid. Redman, played by Red Man, disemboweled by Tiffany. Joan, played by Hannah Spirit, lit on fire, pushed over the stair railings. Stan, played by Steve West, knife thrown into chest. Fulvia, played by Rebecca Santos, beaten to death with a Tiffany doll. I had fun with this one. I thought it had something to say, and it was covered in sugar, like you said, and it was so goofy. And I sort of knew that, even though I didn't really know kind of where the whole series is going, I knew that they get campier and campier. I'd kind of like to see a little bit of a return to vicious Chucky. Mm-hmm. However, it's not like I ever thought that he was actually scary in the first place. So when people seem to be upset over Chucky not being scary anymore, I was like, did you ever actually find him scary, or do you just miss the tone of the first couple of movies?
And some of it is also like, yeah, if you were a child and you saw Chucky and it scared the hell out of you, and you are grown up and still scared of Chucky, you got some other issues going on.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, it's a little disjointed. It's a little messy, I guess. But I was having a good enough time. It didn't really bother me that much.
And if you want to read some other people's kind of perspective on this, I definitely wanted to at least shout out a few different horror authors that I read their articles online. Vincent Beck on Gaily Dreadful, and then there's an author named Ren Crane, and another author named Red Broadwell. Each one of these authors are either trans or non-binary, and so they talk about this movie within that context and what it really means to them, too. There are several horror authors that seem to really get behind this one because it kind of spoke to them and their identity, too. That if you want to read more about that, I would encourage you, instead of listening to us yak about those issues necessarily.
But then read them and go like, boy, John and Jim were right also.
Exactly.
And more than that, they're good allies, which is almost braver in a way.
I'm basically braver. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But yeah, this is a good one. And what's next? Is it Curse, Cult, and then the remake? Yep. And dear listeners, I know a few of you have asked if we're going to do the TV series. Man, that sure was a nice idea until I found out that there's 8 to 10 episodes and they're all 42 minutes long. So that's kind of a lot. I mean, I'd love to figure out how to work it in at some point, but that's 5 to 10 times the normal time commitment of one of these. But, I do always think, like, if this is the last time I'm going to interact with these type of franchises, while doing this show,
right,
should do it. But man, I don't know. I don't know, y'all. That's kind of.
I think it's a TBD. I think because I think we both would like to visit it, but yeah, time being what it is at the moment. But this might be something that we revisit in the future for sure.
Yeah, or like a Patreon or something like that. So yeah, there's a plug for the Patreon. We just did Dolly Dearest
and Trilogy of Terror, the doll story from Trilogy of Terror.
Exactly. So if you want more killer dolls, go check us out over on Patreon. We've got a fun series over there of also rans in the killer doll genre. And one more plug. I don't know about you, but I saw on Instagram some pretty nice looking t-shirts and tote bags.
Oh, really? On Instagram of all places.
Of all places, yeah. We got some This May Hurt a Bit t-shirts over there. And tote bags as well. It's just our great logo by Ethan Kimberling plastered on a black t-shirt. So if you want one of those, you should email us at thismayhurtabitpod@gmail.com or just get in touch through Instagram and we can arrange to get those out to you. $25 for the shirt and $20 for the tote.
And we got stickers too.
And stickers, yeah. I'll throw those into the package. So you can put them up in your favorite neighborhood dive bar. Where there's already a whole bunch of stickers, because I'm not into, just being a one sticker that we'd look
well,
bad,
and then you can also put it on any other shirt that you want. If you're like,
there you go.
Improve any shirt by putting a This May Hurt a Bit sticker on there.
So yeah, if you've got a John and Alex Hate Stuff t-shirt,
right. If you got the full tracksuit, that we sell.
Yeah, tracksuit. Yeah, you can just slap a This May Hurt a Bit sticker on over it.
Over the Alex.
Yeah, right over the. All right, everyone. Well, thanks as always for listening. Throw in that curse, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Good night.
Good night.
This has been a Caretaker Press production. It was produced by James Strayer and edited by John C. Myers. Logo by Ethan Kimberling and music by Michael Arthur Holloway, who you can find on Bandcamp. Follow us on Instagram at thismayhurtabitpod and email us at thismayhurtabitpod@gmail.com. Give us a 5-star review over on your favorite podcast app, and we'll see you next time.